regarding the attitude part?
Yes, sir. I understood that after solving so many question papers, we would develop one judgment within ourselves, which questions to leave, on which questions I can take risk, and I would develop an strategy within myself that would make me clear to them.
What are the static books that are there? Become perfect. The way to master them is multiple books. And however, we can't help ourselves for unknown unknowns. What is in our hand, do it first. What is not in our hand, if it comes, it comes.
Okay. Known, 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 unknown, unknown, unknown. So what is known, known?
Static,
Which you know is not a benchmark.
Lakshmikant,
is present in
NCRT, Lakshmikant, and what are the static books that are already recommended? If the question comes, that is called to be known.
Okay. All right. In the example, this will be the decider. Going by the present terms, "40 questions come from this area. Unknown unknowns. 40 questions will be from this area. People can argue, you can guess there is a pattern, this, that, all that is pure trash. Okay, there is no such thing as pattern, at least in the last 2 or 3 years. Okay, but still people, who can balance it out. In the example, the most important thing is balance of the mind. What is balance? Let's say, as I said, there are many good students who fail prelims not because of lack of knowledge or not because lack of effort. If you read their mains answers, or if you see their preparation levels, if you see their consistency, it's really very nice. Okay, but before going to prelims only, you will get some symptoms, you will get some hints in the mocks. Every institute will have its own depth. Okay, subject wise test, full length test, there are a lot of full length tests. Earlier full length test used to be 6 or 7, max 5, 6, 7. Okay, now there are 15 full length tests. The meaning of test, out of the 300 or 400 questions that I'm expecting, the most questions might come up from these areas. But if there are 1500 most expected questions, then there is no missed. Yes or no? So there are 8 major subjects, right? Polity, modern Indian history, economy, geography, environment and biodiversity, science and tech, art and culture, ancient medieval, lastly current affairs, right? This is bonus. As of now, this is bonus. This might change. Okay, all UPS has to do is pick 10 questions per topic per year. Per year it has to pick 10 questions. Let's say last year it has picked around 20, 15, something like that. So 50 questions came from one section. The rest of the questions have different distributions. Okay, what institutes do not have and what UPSC have is luxury to pick anything. If an institute picks what is 7th schedule, we will call it this is the most bakwas test series ever. Why? Seventh schedule is not a standard question according to us. But if we see the same question in the UPSC, we will start panicking. Is it 7 or 8? The same question, the same silly question when you asked in UPSC. Wow, wonderful question. UPSC is really good. Okay, if you see the same question in test series, it is waste, weak. So what do institutes do? Institutes go into the remotest corners of Lakshmikant and bring some and make it huge. So students' confidence, let's say in mock, okay, will be down or will be high. Okay, but in the real exam, you should not make any mistake in these 20. Okay, the maximum buffer is 2 questions. The maximum buffer is 2 questions. You cannot make less than 2 mistakes in the real exam hall, and questions will be very normal. No surprises whatsoever. So it's not the greatness of the faculty, it's not the greatness of anyone. UPSC ask simple questions. It's as simple as that. Anybody worth their salt should get 18 questions correct. Okay, but before you see that paper, till you see that real paper, your mind will be very worried. Why? In the mocks, the difference, the difficulty levels of the question, the application of the question, it is all in a whole new dimension. Okay, they will make you do PhD in Lakshmikant, in current affairs. So you feel, I don't know a lot of things. Your confidence is very low. But what is the real UPSC paper saying? The real UPSC paper is saying, I need to know whether the basics you know perfectly or not. The most simplest stuff. 20 questions I will ask from the simplest. Okay, 2 will be little bit twisted. But if you can get all the 20 correct, excellent, outstanding. But minimum correct. This 18 is not. If your peers are dumb, okay, just like me or us, okay, the standard will be 16. That means everybody will get only 16 questions correctly. So the difficulty level of paper is not decided by UPSC. The difficulty level of paper is decided by your peers. You understand the logic? No? There are 20 questions in UPSC paper. UPSC thinks they are good questions. Okay, students will apply them. Everybody is super smart. At least the top 10,000 people who are clearing, they will get on an average 18 questions correct. Okay, in a different year, only 14 questions might be correct. So you should minimum get how many is decided by whom?
Peers.
Your peers, not your UPSC, not your mock tests. Okay, so your peers, whatever they are doing, you should be able to know. What everybody knows, you should know. Out of the 20 questions, if everybody knows 18 questions, you should also know 18 questions. So that is the most important thing. That can be known unknown, or unknown unknown. It doesn't matter. And again, it's a common logic you have to apply. 18 questions, everybody is getting 18 questions correctly, because let's say question number 1 to 20 is polity. Okay, just understand the logic. Question number 1 to 20 is polity. 19 and 20 are very difficult. Okay, it does not work like that. She got first question wrong. You got third question. Balancing out, everybody is getting 18 questions correct. You get the difficulty, right? For her, 20th question is the most difficult question. For you, the most easiest question is 20th question, because you read different sources, or you remembered it in a different way. But an average balancing out, okay, the question you think is very easy is difficult for her. For her, the easiest question is difficult for you. Like this, we will balance each other out. I may know that question. So, are you able to follow?
Yes, sir.
1 to 20, 10 questions are known. Okay, 5 questions are known unknown. 5 questions are unknown. 5, 10. This 10, everybody will get correct. No discussions, no debates there. But known, unknown, that is where the game changes. Within that, through wild luck, dumb luck, guess, practice, hunch, and all these things, still people are getting 8 questions correct. So that is how they are getting 18 correct. That is what people need to understand about UPSC. It's not like 19 and 20 questions are correct. Difficult. Everybody is getting a 19, 20 wrong. It doesn't work like that. Okay, I probably might forget what is Article 17 in the exam hall. My brain might stop freezing. Brain fade movement. Or Article 17. In the sheer tension, probably it can happen. You cannot blame. You don't know this. And he might get the most difficult question just like that within a snap. You get the idea? So both the things work. Okay. Now, how did you come to 18? How did you arrive at 18? Known. That is your Lakshmikant plus polity NCERT. And most obvious current affairs. For example, anti-defection law is 10 times in the news. You remember anti-defection law. There is a question about anti-defection law. Done. Okay. Known, unknown. Is and majority aspirants develop solving. Okay. And question was twisted in certain. In you asked similar, so students were able to detect that flaw. You get the known unknown. The unknown is what separate from the chaff, the men from the boys. In the flow, I got 15 questions correct. Now the 3 remaining questions which are very difficult out of the 5 are now correct. I don't know how I arrived at it. I will go, and people who have that courage to go is the ones who have wisdom. Okay, you understood?
Yes, sir.
10 plus 5. Now the debate is about the other 3. 2 we got wrong. You might attempt them, you'll get wrong, but 3 get correctly. Okay, 18 questions are correct. This is for writing main student. Okay, the difference between the overall people who cleared prelims and people who failed prelims is cutoff is 90 or 94. Okay, their scores are 80 or 80. 10 marks is the real exam less than the majority. These 3 questions. Why you did it? Questions? Because you did courage. You didn't develop ability to get paper. You could not figure out logically which is known, which is known unknown, which is unknown. In the exam hall, you have to figure unknown. I don't know. Figure it out. But did you still go ahead and attempt it? Okay. Write a mock, you will probably know some of these into your brain. Had people who who the exam I probably will still attempt. As I said, average last year, the minimum scores I had is 30 to 35 negatives. Minimum. Very okay, or than 30 negatives. Everybody got on an average told 30 negatives, 30 negatives, 35 negatives, 38 negatives. The people who said more are gone, people who said less are in. So did I take a gamble? Yes. I attempted how many questions? 5 questions. How many did I get correctly? 3 correctly. 2 negatives. Still it worked out for. Now apply this to all subjects. Okay. So that is something that you develop through practice. 10. Known. I read Lakshmikant. 10 questions came from Lakshmikant. Case Katam. Case closed. Okay. Your attempt will be what? 50 questions. You have extreme courage. Out of this 50, if you get all the 50 correct, you are in. out of this 50, even if you get 5 wrong, you're out. Yes or no? As simple as that. So your risk margin is very, very less. But if you are attempting 90 or 80 out of pure clarity, then if your negatives are balancing it out, or you got only 25 negatives, fantastic, you will be writing mains. But who will teach you how to identify these two areas, how to develop that? That comes only through that thought process, that ability to take courage. Now, where does that ability to take courage comes from? The simplest logic student misses is static confidence. Static confidence. Simple thing is static confidence. First 10 questions, if you are dead sure, like you don't even have an iota of fear, like not saying words. I'm not saying English words, understand it. And I say iota of doubt, like literally you should not even think for a second that these 10 questions are even a discussion for me. If it is in the book, if the 10 questions are straightforward, I will get it. That kind of sheer bloody confidence will help you attempt the next 5 questions with confidence. Okay, it's a carry forwarding of the confidence. Okay, that will help you attempt at least half of the unknown unknowns correctly. Now imagine the opposite scenario. Yes, how many months have you started preparation? When did you?
4 months.
It's 4 months till date. Okay. What is the article for interstate council? How many of you know? Interstate council. Okay. Right. Okay. Down. So if you don't know that, this part will be weak. Here itself you are doubting your ability. Then you won't even think about attempting these questions. Right? It's pure rationality. It's human tendency. And if you have played games in the school or college level or whatever, you know, if you have played a game on a regular basis, just by sheer hunch you will get it correct. Like if you are playing cricket, if you are throwing it at the stumps, if you are playing daily, one day you are so good that even if you throw as a fun, it will hit the stumps. Your mind, body and thought is so tuned to that hitting the stumps. In the same way, if you are having a good confidence level in the exam hall, if you just attempt it, somehow miraculously it gets, you know, you'll get it correctly. You have zero clue whatsoever, zero rationality why that question is C, that you will still put C. And this is flow that happens in the exam hall. This is something that you have to experience. If a topper comes and says, you know, I cleared prelims because of my knowledge, absolute trash. Why absolute trash? It is only till this point that knowledge helps. Till this point, your analysis helps. Why? In known unknowns, I know that, you know, Eastern Ghats or Western Ghats, where they are or something like that. I know the rivers. I read the names. I may not remember all the names, but I have never read a name in relation to South Indian rivers. So that is analysis. I don't exactly remember the name of the river, but when I read 50 plus names in South Indian rivers, that name was not there. So I don't remember it, but I know it is not South India. Okay, that is more than enough for me to attempt this section. Analysis. This I know. Where is Ganga? Where is Kaveri? Kaveri is in South India. This I know. I have Saraswati River. I never read it in South India. Okay. If I'm good enough, I know it's in North India somewhere, but at least definitely not in South India. That much I know. I will eliminate it. Next is, there is a river called as Moskova. Hypothetically assume. Okay, you have never heard about Moskova. Of all the Indian rivers, it is not an Indian river sounding name. So it must be some outside a name. So unknown. Just as an example. Okay. So that is how you get it. Right? As I said, Ashoka, Buddhism, Jainism. These questions you don't know why, but you might feel, you know, it's Ashoka. You will go ahead and attempt it. Yes. So this is what is missing from the thought process. This happened to all the subjects, no matter what you read. And UPSC is not cheating the students, even if it is going above and beyond the traditional sources like ancient, medieval, art and culture. Okay. What institutes are doing is, you cannot read a 600, 700 page book for ancient and medieval studies, right? There is Upinder Singh ancient medieval book. Okay, it's an optional textbook. It's a 700 page textbook for ancient and medieval India. Okay, it is not suggested for you to read that book for just few marks. Okay, but what institutes will do is, institutes will go to that respective test series or that respective textbook. They will pick up Buddhism, Jainism, Gupta, such similar topics which are very favorite to UPSC, and they will frame questions on that particular topics. So even if you don't read the books, mocks will help you in known unknowns. Yes or no? That is how mocks will help you, right? And irony or comedy is, I have said this to every batch. Okay, but in every batch, 1 or 2 students actually understand the pulse and they take it, like take what I am saying. And after prelims, when they clear or whatever, they will come and say, sir, that is exactly how it works. Okay. For the rest of the crowd, the problem is, no matter what I say, wisdom cannot be transferred. They will write a mock test. They will get certain scores, 70s, 80s. They won't cross 70s and 80s. And they're stagnant there. Sir, I am unable to cross 80. You will never cross 80 because your static is weak. Okay. So, and not only in this institute, everywhere it's the same. Very few students will actually understand the pulse. They get the common sense, they understand the pulse and they run with it and they clear the prelims. Unfortunately, the rest of the batch, they think reading books and writing mocks is the end game. Reading books and writing mocks is not the end game. Reading books and writing mocks is just a lesson. It's a learning curve. What are you supposed to learn? Not the knowledge alone. Why you arrived at a certain conclusion? When you see a question, entire brain activated to remember all the data, right? There is a line where the hero says, I am meeting you at a particular metro station. You know that metro station is in that particular country. Did that knowledge come into the picture? Right? So you get the idea, right? When I say Russia or some other country, you should be able to bring everything you have heard about Russia within those microseconds. Map, IR, geography, yes, mountains. Did all that knowledge flash in front of you in microseconds? And did that help you at least even to ability to guess? Right? So that thought process, when you see a question, is the reward. Right mock, exploring that question. CPI, consumer price index, is the entire consumer price index paragraph in Ramesh Singh or whatever book you have read is flashing in front of your eyes. Do you recollect the baskets? Do you recollect the base year? Do you recollect the data? Do you recollect the linkage between WPI CPI within microseconds? Are you able to then say, yes, option C is wrong? That churning is what makes good aspirants. This is how aspirants used to prepare. That is why even after getting into service, see, the last time I read any static textbook is 2017. Any static textbook I have read is 2017. But even today, if student asks some question, I go to my book. I spectrum flashes in front of my eyes. Why? When you read prelims in that way, automatically knowledge will help you. Every time you see a prelims question about 1857 revolt, the entire chapter flashes in front of your eyes. Just imagine how many revisions you are doing. Right? So if your entire chapter knowledge has to flash in front of your eyes within microseconds, you have to summarize the chapters in the same fashion. Yes. Student read 1857 revolt, Nana Sahib. Okay, Nana Sahib. What was the used for Lakshmi Bai? Okay, that much. Only that line is revised, not the linkage. Yes or no? Yes, Kirtana, what was the doctrine? Why did Rani Lakshmi Bai participate in 1857 revolt? Aditya? Raghunath? Because her husband died, there is a concept called as doctrine of lapse. British will take away her kingdom. So she wanted to make sure that she did not give up that particular thing. It's as simple as that. Okay. Right? So basically that's the most important thing you need to understand about prelims and mocks. When people say write mocks, they don't even know what they are saying. You have to spend time to think what changed in the mind of the student. And then there are aspirants who do this. First, they write questions like when you write a mock, the questions can be summarized into 4 layers. Okay, first one is 50-50. Majority of your questions are 50-50. You know one option, you eliminated that option, then you went for that option. Yes or no? You read something. So 50-50 options. 100% you know blindly. The moment I say Rani Lakshmi Bai, why doctrine of lapse? No discussion, no debate. 100% you know. Okay. Then there is a hunch or analysis. You don't know why arriving at that particular logic. Somewhere you read, somewhere you remember that analysis. Something is clicking in your brain. ఏదో కొడుతూ ఉంటుంది లోపల నుంచి something. So through that you attempt some questions. Then the last most favorite is blind guess. You blindly attempt it without any common sense. Okay, done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options are all of the okay. So that is blind guess. So if you can do this in the 100%, in the let's say you attempted 100 questions. Okay, how many questions come under which part? Okay, my blind guess 20 questions. All 20 are wrong. Attempt wrong. I blind guess 20 questions. All 20 are wrong. So what is the lesson there for me? Worst. I'm the worst at blind guessing. So that is a lesson. I thought I attempted 25 questions out of 100 out of 100. Only 12 are correct. I attempted 25 questions thinking I know this question perfectly. How many are correct? 12 questions are correct. What is the lesson?
Static with weak.
Exactly. Your static is a blunder, not even weak. Yes or no? It not even 12 questions in, right? Like this, if you can analyze, you'll exactly know without illusions where you stand. Yes, accuracy test. People take Excel sheets. People label the test, number of questions attempted. While they are writing the marks, they will use star, 50, 100, blind guess, hunter analysis. Like this, you mark the question. After that, you come analyze. So writing 30 tests like this is more beneficial rather than writing 300 tests. Yes or no? Okay. Next, then you will get the accuracy percentage. What is my accuracy percentage? How did I come to this particular conclusion? Okay, let's say today is Wednesday. Yes, assuming Lavanya has wrote a test today. Are correct. That means if she reads something, if she can eliminate one option, she can get the other option correctly. Yes or no? So her 50-50, that means if her static knowledge improves, her more questions will be correct in 100%. Like this, we will come to different conclusions. How many questions are left? 10 questions, right? Okay. So like this, you come to a conclusion. Then you get different marks. Immediately after writing the exam on Wednesday, you have to do analysis. Then explanation of not more than 2 hours. You should not spend more than 2 hours on explanation part. So first you will go to the questions which you got wrong. Why did I get them wrong? Where exactly did I make the mistake? Did I make the mistake in reading the question? Did I make mistake in reading that particular statement? What అంటే తెలుగులో చెప్పాలంటే పప్పులో కాలు ఎక్కడేసాను దాల్మేక, you know, exactly where I have to exactly identify that and move on. What do people do? People spend 4 hours, 5 hours. Every student who told me that I am spending 5 hours on analysis till date hasn't clear films. Again, that is a empirical data. Anybody who spends more than 4 hours just on analysis part, not this part. See, this will take time to identify all the questions. That will take time. Fine, there is no logic there. But if you are reading explanations for 5 hours, okay, you are wasting time. You don't have common sense. The common sense is, I made a mistake. I thought this is a green bottle, but it is actually blue bottle. Because of the light, it is appearing green. Okay. The thing is, I need to know it's a blue thing. That's on. Move on. You have to keep moving on. Okay. Did you exactly learn the right thing? Next Wednesday. If I give the same paper to Lavanya to write again, okay, will she get 90 questions correctly? Will you? Again, in theory, yes. In theory, yes. That means after 1 week, after analysis, explanation, and all those things, did I qualitatively learn the mistakes? 90 only, 10 will be most bakwas questions. Even if you don't learn, there is sky won't fall down. But 90 questions you need to know. Again, the topics are more important. Students won't cross 140 to 150 on an average. Even after writing the same test which you have written 1 week earlier, you will still not cross 140. In the first attempt, you got 70, 80. In the second time, you got 140. Still, you are not 100% accurate. Not even 85% accurate. Because you haven't learned the right lessons. Okay. So the lesson when you read a mock explanation is to learn the topic. If you see a question about CPI, Consumer Price Index, the thing is, from today till June 4th, I will never make a mistake on what? CPI. I should not make mistake on CPI. If I make mistake on CPI, then I haven't learned the right lesson. See, the same question is never going to come in the exam. Same topic will definitely come. Yes or no? So, how do we solve all this crisis? %80 of marks, right? Take CPI, Consumer Price Index. Okay, when I learn CPI, it will automatically have spillover effects on WPA. Both of them will help me cover, right? And inflation have a direct linkage to monetary policy, right? So slowly, one topic, next one more topic, next one more topic. One thing will help me bridge the gaps into another topic. There are no gaps between these topics now. Everything is interlinked and it's very organic. Okay, where do all these topic lies? In the 20%. The moment I say Indian economy, the first thing you should know is inflation types. Why inflation happens? What is the organic linkage of inflation and monetary policy? difference between CPA, WPA, who releases CPA, what is the frequency of CPA. All these are 20% of the syllabus. The first thing I expect from a UPSC aspirant to know in Indian economy are these areas. Yes. Then monetary policy will have linkage to banking. So like this, all the core topics will be covered. So what is for this? So instead of learning questions, if you learn the individual topics also, still your knowledge gaps are being filled, right? So majority of the mocks you write will have questions only from this 20% area. In spite of knowing all these things, still students won't cross 70 to 80 marks. Yes. People get 120, 130 marks. So there we can clearly understand they are in a flow. They are much better than the most. If everybody in the room is saying 70 and if I'm saying 130, I know I'm better than most of you. Then in the end, towards April end or May, there will be all India mocks of various reputed institutions. So if you write the all India mock, you will know if you are in the top 300, you have a very good chance. Right? But this should be tested only in May and May mid. Okay, and the papers will be most bakwas papers ever. In spite of the stupidity, if you are still able to score something around 100, that means you are ready for anything. You are ready for the unknown and the most known unknown papers also. Even if a known unknown paper comes, you will still score 100. That shows that if a known paper comes, you will get 120. Hence proved. Okay. Again, everything is purely theory. When you put it on pen and paper, you will realize the difference. So what is your 20%? What is your 20% per subject? For each and every subject, there is a 20%. Identify that 20%. Collectively, all those 20s will make overall 20. That is your known. So you should be able to do all these things. In each and every paper you do, you have to solve this. You have to grill it like this. Quality over quantity. It does not matter how many questions you are solving. It matters how qualitative they are and how qualitative is your analysis after solving the questions. Then how good are you in realizing the previous questions? Again, why do we suggest previous questions? Gold standard. Yes, that means they cover nice topics. Okay, you see a question in the mock. The question is somewhere here. Okay, this is a standard. Like this is a standard. The question is somewhere there. So like this, 40 questions are there in that particular mock paper. Okay, 40 questions are like that in that particular mock paper. Next, 40 questions are here. Okay, but the remaining 20 are somewhere around here. Some are above UPSC standard, some are just below UPSC standard. So when you are reading that explanation, okay, if you don't know a single question of this, it's very much okay. Why? UPSC expectation is here. The questions are set in the remotest corner of the world. What is the favorite dish of Donald Trump? What is the name of Donald Trump's wife's daughter? Sorry, dog's dog's name or something like that. So all such triviality, idiotic questions are not even worth your time. These are like 47 but it does not make any difference because I assume that you will know. Okay, this it's okay if you don't know. This is a blunder if you don't know. Okay, where should your focus for 2022 should be on? These 20 questions. Okay, so next Wednesday, if you write the test again, which are the guaranteed questions you should know? These 20. How did you know, or how do you know that these 20 questions are important than the rest 80 questions? The basis is previous year questions. The more I know the previous questions, the higher my claim eliminating Bakwas questions. You get the idea? Now, if you go back, those 20 questions should be in your 100% zone, or your accuracy should be 90 plus. It doesn't matter whether you blind guessed them, analyzed them, eliminated them, or whatever. But out of those 20, you should get around 18 correct or 15 plus correct. Yes, why? They are the actual questions that makes the difference. Okay, but students spend 3 hours reading them and revising them. 2 hours here, 2 hours here. All 100 questions are treated. Okay, so how do you realize it? By focusing on previous questions. The more previous questions you know, you will which animals are supposed to be treated like VIPs, which animals have to be discarded, which animals have to be ignored. Okay, so if you spend 3 hours, like 180 minutes, okay, on 100 questions, if you focus all the 100 questions equally, you are doing a great disservice to yourself. Where will I focus more? On these 20 questions. I mean, obviously, where I went wrong, in this I also can go wrong, this also I can go wrong. But I just need to know, that's all. I don't need to do PhD, I don't need to I don't need to perfect them. But what I should be perfect is in this area. If a CPA question of mine is wrong, I will definitely spend some more time, at least 5 to 10 minutes on that reading, that explanation, analysis. But if my question is wrong on how many national parties are there in India? Yes, it is a total waste of time. Clear? Yes. And again, as I said, I honestly know how many people are going to clear prelims, who are worthy, who are not worthy. I know all those things. But as a teacher, the simple thing is, these things should be in the air. It should be on the record. Somebody should tell you all these things, that this is what future is. Are you even ready, or do you even have them in the mind? Because in spite of all these things, as I said, when you start doing this, none of these things will come into your mind. The only thing you will be worried is, my score is 70 to 80. I am not improving. All the rationality in the world cannot help you see the light. And that is an unfortunate. And in the first batch, we used to have this emotional array, papam, and all those thought processes. Now, as time passes, we realize reality is something that we cannot change. We can make the horse come to the pond, but we cannot make it drink the water. Right? So I hope this is something that you will understand better when you start practicing. Yes. So someone who haven't sat for 2 hours a single day, all these things here. Yes. Any questions? So just replace Lakshmikant with whatever subject you are struggling with. Okay, it does not matter if you read Lakshmikant or solve 1000 MCQs, but at the end of the day, if you know polity through either of these methods, it still is good. The ultimate objective is, on June 5th, when you see a polity question, you got it correct. How did you get it correct? By reading Lakshmikant? I'm happy for you. If you solved a mock and read the explanation, it still is in your mind and it helped you eliminate the option. Right? It was unmuted only, I think. Just unmute.
Okay.
Maybe internet issues. You get the ultimate solution, right? So whichever path you want to take, you can take. The ultimate thing is, are you able to solve the question? Medieval history, if you are not comfortable, take a standard institute paper, solve 600 questions. Automatically, you are good. That means at least you know basics. You are not good in geography, take 1000 questions. If you are not good in polity, take 1000 questions. Solve it. Keep solving them. The more you solve, paths are made by walking, not by waiting. Clear? So next time when you write a mock test, this is what mock means. And this is something that you have to experience. Someone who never wrote prelims will never even understand this or cannot explain this to you. Okay. So in my short career, I have helped so many aspirants. I know their struggles. I have seen how I failed, I passed, they failed, they cleared. So I know their struggles. It's very fresh. So this is a long-term approach. If someone says go and solve mocks, he is actually meaning all these things. If a topper is saying I solved mocks, he meant all these things. But see, one word and whatever I said are two different things. Yes or no? Because in his mind he has experienced this. He never put it in words in expressive fashion. He never put it in charts. Okay, but he means this. He will discard the unnecessary things in a emotionless fashion, but he will cling on to the important questions very efficiently. Students will think, oh sir, he saw that the topper solved 100 questions. He actually solved 2000 good questions. He ignored 88,000 useless questions in the same marks. Think about it. If in every question paper he took only 25 questions worthy and he revised the 25 questions, he made sure that he did 22,500 qualitative questions. But the rest 500 questions. But what will students think? They think all the 7,500 questions plus 2,500 questions are, sacrilege, sacred things. They will do puja. What is the purpose? Throw them out. Focus on the 2,500. No. Will fail because of lack of knowledge. Everybody is super smart. Unfortunate reality is attitude, thought process. The simple thing many students ignore is Anudip Durisetti was already in service. He cleared service twice. He was there already in industry from last 5 years. Still, why do Anudip Durisetti go to a particular institute and say, sir, please help me? Why should he ask someone to help him? Because no matter how smart we are or how talented we are, probably we will have blind spots which we don't see, that the other person might see. Right? he might help me to get there. So it's not about my ego, it's about taking the help from the person, and it helped him. But the first problem is, without even clearing prelims, people will have this attitude, I know everything. Yes. Then what will happen? Faculties behind you will know who are going to clear prelims, who are going to flunk it. It's like, that movie scenes where I will write the list of the names after June 5th. Right? So it will be same. We will know exactly why. It's not about knowledge. It's all about attitude, the thought process. Okay. And that is how things work. Everybody will need that help, that mentorship, that grooming. Unfortunate reality is, by the time we realize it, it will be our third attempt. Okay. So please make sure that you read the static part. When I say static part, again, at least if something is in the spectrum, you should not give me stared looks. Oh, this was there in spectrum. Then you are not even in the game. Next. Till now, in your life, probably you have never worked this hard for you, that like the way you are preparing for UPSC. Okay. So normally, this is a benchmark for UPSC. Okay, this is according to UPSC. You are supposed to do this much amount of effort. Expects dedication from you. Okay. In my mind, I am doing this. In my mind, I am doing this. I'm beating UPSC by at least a good amount of margin. In reality, this is something you realize on after you see the key number of tiers. Okay. On June 5th evening, you will come and you will check the key. The gap between your mind, your reality, and your perception will be bridged. This won't increase. This will come down. You'll come to a consensus. No, sir, my ego is too big on the day of result. Okay, you can fool me, but you cannot fool yourself. You cannot fool the reality, right? You cannot change physics. But I can't even tell you. But this is the gap. Okay, in the some students will understand this while writing the mock. Okay, some students will understand while writing the mock. My reality and my real reality are not in sync. Okay, then they will try to bridge the gap. They will bring this down, and this will also slowly improve. Okay, so that is a very, very powerful thing that you need to realize. Don't fool yourself. You can fool everyone. You can fool me. You can fool your parents. You can fool the entire society. You can fool anyone, even your best friend. But at least don't fool yourself, because you are the only person in the planet who actually knows how much you are preparing. Okay. In your mind, if you are fooling yourself, you are fooling nobody but yourself. So the number of tears you shed and the number of hours you cry depends on the illusionary gap that you had with your reality. See, why do people cry when reality meets perception? When will we stop crying? When the perception is Yes or no? So please understand, your reality is not even close to what UPSC is expecting from you. So you need to push yourself really, really hard. In which direction? In the upward direction. No, sir, you think you are very smart, you know everything, you are God. I don't have any such illusions, right? I'm very crystal clear in what I'm saying. It's not about me. Your perception of me is a reflection of you, not a judgment on me. Prove me wrong, I will be happy. Prove me wrong by clearing the exam. I will be more than happy to apologize in front of everyone. Yes, I was wrong about you. Okay. And I think any teacher will be happy to accept such kind of apology. Yes or no? But unfortunately, till date, I was not proved wrong. Okay. So don't kid yourself, don't live in illusions. Yes. And the worst thing is your peers. Your peers are your worst enemy. Why? There is a idiom in Telugu, Kuse Garda, Mese Garda. Winnara?
Yes.
What is it? Yes. There is a donkey which is eating the grass. Okay, there is one more donkey which is singing, which is, shouting. So the donkey which was singing came and spoiled the donkey which is eating the grass. That means if somebody is reading or working hard, the other donkeys will come and say, oh, we will do this, we will do that, we will do time pass, entertainment. Okay, there is no atmosphere of fire. There is no fire. That is called as ecosystem. I'm not saying all these things because I know everything. I'm saying this because this is ground reality. This is how millions of young people in India are wasting their human capital. Okay. And you only see the rosy picture of the UPSC. Human capital. Probably even smarter than Anudip Sethi. Not less than him. Definitely not less than him. Right? So how did all these people end up here? Because of lack of understanding. If you go into Hindu philosophy and all those things, I think it's karma. If your parents have done puja for you, or if there is God's grace on you, probably this discussion might penetrate into your thick skulls, and that might create good karma and positive vibes may start. But if there is a Telugu idiom, right? Daridram dance chestunte ekkadu lopalki. It won't penetrate the thick skull. So that is unfortunate reality. So I think personally I started believing this karma theory. Everkaithe raspet untundo, people who have this good karma in and around them like Wi-Fi, probably those people will actually catch this and start moving in the higher pedestals. The rest, they'll go on with their own respective paths. Right?
Those who have not cleared like UPSC, like they may be more talented than me, but they have failed. Then again, is that because why they failed? Because they have lack of understanding. If they have lack of understanding, how can we categorize them as more talented than other people?
The really smart people, they did not understand this exam.
If they are really smart people, then why should they tackle this exam? they really know that so much about themselves. Like
Smartness can be a lot of things. For example, Raghunath is very good in, let's say, reasoning, maths, and all those things. Okay, he may not be so comfortable with quality, but that is not his fault, right? His mind is tuned to the traditional thinking. His mind is tuned to this solving, maths, reasoning. Maybe he will shine in.
he should understand that.
He will see before attempting. We cannot judge him, right? He might give 1 or 2 attempts. Then he might actually shine here also. But it might take 1 attempt for him to realize how he can use the same talents that he used in maths and reasoning in here. So it will take some time for him to transition. But if he's spending 6 years or 7 years here, then that is pure waste of time. You understand me? 1 or 2 attempts is reasonable. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Trivial or big or small or anything related to prelims? Without knowing the path, what is the point in walking? Trust. No questions? You understood everything?
Apart from prelims, what about same strategy for the main? Like
It will change for mains, right? It will definitely change it for mains. For either of that, you still need to do the basics first. Unfortunately, I don't know what you are doing with the basics thing. Yes, in the beginning, it will take time. Chalo, even if you have read 1 subject per month, 4 months have passed. You read economy for 1 month, polity for 1 month, geography for 1 month. You should at least be 60% good in each and every subject. Yes, I sincerely doubt that is the case. At least basics, not advanced level. At least the basics of every subject should be strong. First chapter, Bipin Chandra, first chapter, 1857. Yes. Half of the class don't even know the answer.
so people say like writing knowing 2 topics per day and writing 2 questions per day will add value. The topics that we have covered basics, and for example, we are I have finished polity.
పుట్టికి ఎక్కలేనమ్మ స్వర్గానికి ఎక్కింది విన్నారా? Have you heard that idiom?
No, I got the meaning.
There is this Krishnastami. We will have this, what we call curd to break. Dahi handi. जो हंडी को कैच नहीं कर सकता वो आसमान को छूना चाह रहा है, right? So what I mean by that is a student who is doing all the basics first, like polity, history, economy, geography, all the 8 subjects static correctly, okay, he will have a lot of luxury to add value to his preparation. The moment you read an article, let's say fiscal policy, monetary policy, if you know what exactly is fiscal policy and monetary policy in depth, automatically your mains preparation will not be slowed down because of this. Why? When you read an article, when you read anything, it is a flow. You know what exactly he's talking about. If Rangarajan writes an article saying, if too much freedom to monetary policy is there, that might affect fiscal policy and so on and so forth, your brain won't stop. It will be on the fourth gear, going, going, going. You will read the same article in 15 minutes. Your absorption will be much, much higher. Your absorption rates will be next level. If you know exactly where Eurasian okay, absorption capacity will be very limited. Basics are foundation. Foundation should be as strong as possible. Then you will have all the luxury in the world to spend as much time on value addition, but without playing value addition. The problem is, let's say I have spent 10-11 years on UPSC. So I'm here. Let's imagine I'm here. In my mind, everybody knows monetary policy, but I forget there is a time where I don't know the difference between monetary policy and fiscal policy. Even I started there. I was not born with economy in my mind, right? When I started preparation, in the first month, I don't know the difference between monetary policy and fiscal policy. In the 11th year of my UPSC journey, I assume that everybody will know monetary and policy, fiscal policy. That is a policy. I cannot give advice at this level. I should come down to this level and understand what student is going through, right? So if I stand here and say, all right, policy and fiscal policy. There was a day I don't know what is Article 19 1G or Article 21. I cannot assume on day one everybody should know this. No, ऐसा नहीं होता है, right? Everybody will go through the same journey, but the growth starts when your static gets stronger. I don't have to go back to Lakshmikant. Just imagine the time that I am saving. I don't have to go back to art and culture. I don't have to go back to economy, politics, history, geography. All these things are in my brain. From then, if I read mains, the growth will be exponential. But if every time if I have to go to Lakshmikant to see what is anti-defection law, then how will I write a mains answer? Anti-defection law is already in my brain. The 4 parts I know, article number I know, constitutional amendment I know. It is in my brain. Now give me the question. Now what is anti-defection law? Yes. So first imbibe this basic knowledge into your brain. Then you'll come to a level. From there, construct the building to reach here. If you bypass this step in the illusion that answer writing and all these things. See, again, that is what I'm saying, right? People who don't know UPSC or who have never spent time in UPSC, they will give all the free advice. Everybody is an expert in UPSC. If next batch comes, you will also become experts. You will start suggesting them, do this, read Lakshmikant. Probably some of you are already doing that. Yes, right? You think you know. I won't blame you, right? Everybody is an expert in UPSC, right? 2 answers, right? 20 answers. Yes, too many captains sink the boat. Yes or no? That is also true. If everybody is captain, then who is doing the other works? So don't chase all these illusions, mirages, and all those things. The rosy picture is nice. The rosy picture comes later. First, static. And I haven't changed my stand, right? From day one, I say only one thing: focus on static. Static is king. Yes, and I will stay with my own words. Tomorrow I won't change my words. Static is king. If you know the static, you are the king. If you don't know static, everything else is illusion. For a person who have never written films, who have never cleared films in last 3 attempts, okay, what is the purpose of teaching him ethics? will increase your odds. Without clearing prelims, sir, my answer writing is so good. You won't clear prelims. What is the point? Except me, nobody will know. UPSC will never know. But you clear prelims. Your answers are average. Still, you failed by 20 marks. Then we actually know, yeah, this person wrote mains. Even with average answers, he failed only by 20 marks. So next time, if he clear prelims, if he practices better answers, then he has a chance of clearing the exam. All this is tested when in the mains hall. But you never reached the mains hall, but your answers are better than Anudeep Durishetty's. What will happen? Nothing will happen. Nobody will know. Ink waste. Yes. Clearing prelims is the most essential thing for you to test the reality. That is the rubber meets the road. Yes or no? That is where your real mental is tested on the road. In the showroom, the car is fantastic. It will be only in showroom. So answer writing, all these are important. Nobody is denying that. But first of all, if you don't know the first chapter of any static textbook, then what you should focus on? Covering the static. Static is king. Static is everything. Just think about it. Every meaning, every word, every map, it will so burdensome. And all the answers I made you write are also for the same thing, to make you realize that it's not a rocket science. Ethics is not a rocket science. Politics is not a rocket. You can write them, but basics are everything. Current affairs is common sense, right? Even a layman can understand it. Hindu is not published for UPSC aspirants. Hindu is everyone. UPSC to know what is happening in international relations, but you need to know what is Article 17, Article 19, Article 21, anti-defection. All these things can come only from reading Lakshmika. Yes. So I hope that has solved a lot of doubts in your mind. If you have any, please keep them with you, because while you start doing them, you'll actually get more doubts. Then we will have one more discussion session. So probably that might help you understand the exam better. And in no way I judge any of you. I know I was there once. I was exactly where you stand now. You know the Dominion principle of 1928. There is a demand by Motilal Nehru, right? So one day I was having a tea. One friend came and asked, "What is the what chapter are you reading?" I read Lakshmi. I am reading Bipin Chandra. What are you reading in Bipin Chandra? I said, that the chapter of constitution demand Motilal Nehru and all these people will be demanding for dominion status. Then he said, what is the technical term there? I couldn't recollect the term dominion status. That is what Motilal Nehru demands, right? Then I was like, oh, I read a chapter, but I don't even know the term. Then I was not at all attentive while I was reading. So none of us are born with photographic memory or on all those things. But his question helped me realize or refocus that if I read something, the very next thing to do is, if someone asks me a question from that chapter, am I able to tell that chapter? Yes or no? And that helped me change my knowledge absorption. Yes, active recall method helps. Okay. Anything else?
In the first attempt, they didn't clear. Second attempt, they got a service. And third, fourth attempt, they didn't even clear prelims also. And fifth attempt, they got a
Respect plus dedication. Each and every year you have to respect it. Each and every year you have to respect Bipin Chandra. Just because I got already into this. That does not mean I will remember Lakshmikant. I have to revise Lakshmikant in that year. I have to write marks that year. Every year you have to give the bare minimum respect. Okay, if you don't give the bare minimum respect, an IIT student failed CSAT. I know IITians who failed CSAT. Why? In their mind, they thought CSAT is easy. Okay, you cannot claim them dumb, right? He's an IITian. But why did he fail CSAT? Respect. If he is like Mohan Babu, it deserves respect. I need respect. If you don't give the bare minimum respect, don't ask me. Ask Kauninya. Call and ask Kauninya. Even before he CSAT, I told him, I know you are an IITian. I know you are very good in CAT. But just for respect's sake, just write a mock. One mock. In entire year, just write one mock before going to the. He writes and says, sir, I have written, I got 140, 150, whatever it is. Go, then go. But don't go to the exam hall without writing at least one mock. That one mock is the minimum, like token. It's like breaking the coconut. Respect for UPSC. You have to do the bare minimum things. Okay. Even for Telugu also the same thing. Yes. Done. Regular practice. Solve the 2030 to 2020 papers, one paper every Sunday. If you start solving one paper every Sunday, you'll develop that flow. Okay, you will know where you exactly you are weak at. Like you are good in passages, but you are good in maths. You are good in passages and maths, but bad in reasoning. Or good in maths and reasoning, but bad in passages. So then you will know after 4 or 5 weeks where to spend the energies. Clear? Yes.
You have mentioned that English is for everyone, not just for UPSC. But everyone will not read editorials. They'll just skip off the editorials. Whosoever I have met till now, they skip the editorial part and move on.
How many of them are in service?
No, sir. They are ordinary. They don't read that. So the remaining news they cover, but editorials they don't.
That's their problem. Like read it. If they read it, their knowledge levels will be good. At least they will be better aware about the things. Yeah. Again, we cannot judge anyone. They have time crunch. They have other important things in life, personal life, so many things.
Even if I directly go and solve MCQs, one of the problems I face is that I miss some connections. I feel the basic skeleton is not there within me.
Again, as I said, it's a perception problem, right? Your problem is that you think, you have to remember everything in the medieval history. The macro thing, tell me medieval history in 10 lines. That's the problem, right? First summarize, first develop the story. Nobody will Ramayana on day one, like entire Ramayana, right? Every Valmiki sloka, nobody will remember. First, what will I remember? There is a king called as Dasharatha. He had son. His name is Rama. His wife was kidnapped. Then he went to Sri Lanka. Then he went to Lanka and brought back. This is a macro framework. At least I know. Then Marathas. Then the decline of Mughals. So slowly, step by step, I will develop the macro themes. Even when I read Mughals, I don't remember all the names, right? The macro picture again. So within Mughals, how did they dilute and how did the Golconda, the South Indian, Bahamic, all these things were developed slowly. Macro themes. It's like knowing the story first, then adding value. But on day one, if I remember, okay, his name, all these things, it becomes very, very, very difficult. So read it like a novel. It's a difficult novel. Okay, fine. But read it. Don't remember anything. Don't struggle. Just let it go. Give 10 days break. Then come back. You'll remember at least some part of the entire story. It's not like all 100% is washed away, right? Next time at least 10% will make sense. So read, give time, come back, read one chapter, take a break, then again come back. So like this, there is no hurry, right? You cannot treat medieval Indian history and Indian polity like same. Indian polity you can read in a flow. Medieval history will happen in long term. So every subject have its own strategy. Done? Yes, Umang is thinking deeply. No? Okay then. See you all then. I think this session should help you understand what is expected of you in UPSC. I hope you remember it. Again, this is not for everyone. If you are writing for 2023, you can change your strategy a lot. Okay. Yes. All the best.